Seller Sessions. It's the final Friday, Friday. It's the final Tuesday of the month, which means one thing: go with the flow with someone very, very smart, and it's a joy to work with. We were planning the show yesterday, and it like took 5 minutes, and I love that. You know, when you got people where they're full of ideas. And the irony is that we were both doing exactly the same thing without knowing we're doing exactly the same thing, but then we come from different angles with it. So we'll cover that today, but welcome to the show to my co-host, Ritu. How are we doing?
Hey, Danny. I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, it's been a interesting couple of weeks just getting some projects over the line and
Yes.
been working on some interesting stuff which was delayed last week. We'll get into it another time, but yeah, two
Yep.
big things. One's I finally nailed down my whole taxonomy database for the whole of Amazon, so the whole
Okay.
catalog. It's taken 1,000 hours since January. We're building out all the logic and stuff for it, but now it's
Mhm.
up and running, it's working.
Wow.
And
Amazing.
every node, every item type keyword, every product type, every combination, because it's and not a lot of people know, but the catalog system is deterministic, but
Hmm.
filtering, right? So what people don't realize is I need to show some stuff for people to understand it, because when I say your GL might not be wrong, they go, what? Because people try and fix stuff that they think are broken. But there's inputs and there's outputs. It's the same with like product types. What people don't realize is people would argue that the product type that Amazon is mapped for you and then locked it down because it's depreciated. I sorted something out on the weekend. Someone had months of this. One email, Amazon was straight on it, right?
Right.
It's because the
Yeah.
way that you look at it. So when I say that the content in your listing will impact your product type, people will go, no, it doesn't. But what they're not looking at, they look at this perception of perspective. How
Right.
do you think Amazon maps these and remaps them?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're using a different system to remap versus the mechanical system that they run.
Mm.
So you have to think, well, okay, why would they map it this way? And the basis around semantic similarity
Mm.
plays a role in this, right?
Yes, it does. Hmm.
And once I was able to reverse engineer and do some logic around it, you know, all that science nonsense, it's a waste of time. It's just patents and stuff. That stuff, you know,
That stuff. Yeah.
that nonsense stuff
Right.
comes in handy sometimes, right? So I was
It
able to
does.
look at that through the different lens, and then we worked out that one of these products, I won't name what it is, but it put it in as an orthopedic product
Mm.
because they had two words next to each other, which when we look at the way that words are broken down, there's about 15 or 20 different algorithms that I know of, right?
Mm. Mm.
Of the way that these words are combined, right? You know,
Hmm.
people understand what stemming is and stuff like that. But
Right. Right.
looking at it from that way, the word pain and the
Hmm.
word wrist was caused from orthopedic. And because I was able to prove it against competition and give them some documentation, the gates opened for the conversation and it was an accepted conversation. Does that make
Hmm.
sense?
Mm.
So what's really interesting at the moment is looking at things through a different lens, which goes back to what we're going to discuss today. We're both doing something, but
Yeah.
we're getting the same result from different angles. Does that make sense?
Right.
So
Yeah.
so
Yeah. No, I agree. Hmm.
do you want
This
to
is so fun. Yeah.
do you, do you want to explain what we're doing today? You're going to start with
Yeah, sure. So, Danny and I were talking yesterday about like this thing that we're both doing kind of similar versions of it.
mm,
And essentially, what we're trying to do is we're trying to automate something that is pretty mundane, something that needs like someone to go on an Amazon page,
mm,
look at it, scrape it, and you don't want to do it manually, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
there's different ways of automating that simple process that, all of us in the e-commerce space, we need that information. Either we need it through APIs, if there is an API, like Keepa. Keepa gives us a lot of information through the
Yeah.
API, and we can tap into a lot of Amazon
Mm.
uh, product detail page insights from there. But not everything is captured by Keepa.
Yeah.
Um, there's other things like Rufus that's sitting on the page, and we can't capture that through Keepa, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there's different tools that people have attempted over the past, I don't know, 6, 8 months,
Mm.
where you can actually insert yourself into an Amazon page and
Yeah.
extract stuff from it, right? So what we're going to talk about is some of the basics of how that works, like the mechanics of that,
Yeah.
and then some different approaches to achieving the same results. Like there could be agentic, there could be browser based. There's a
Yeah.
few different ways to go about it. So I think Danny has one way, which I've tried, and then I came up with a different way, which is working.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're
But
gonna have a
like you
conversation
said,
around
just
that. Yeah.
yeah, like you said
Hmm.
yesterday, like you've got some programming background. I have zero, right? And you pointed out clearly because I said I've used a booklet or built a script for the booklet or Claude did anyway, and you
Yeah.
said it's limited, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. But for me, it
Yeah.
was the angles would come in is like I started building stuff that had a UI, right? So it was
Yeah.
always can we take this information? Can we upload it? Can we write some logic from it? And can we extract some value from it? Right?
Hmm.
So, single state, you can't store it, right? So, there's no database plugged in the back end. It all start from artifacts and stuff like that. But then
Right.
you then branch off into other things. Now I'm a lot more
Yeah.
into the stuff we build around Python scripts and the way you learn as you
Hmm.
go. And like you've
Sure.
done the booklet things like, yeah, so last year, Dan, give us a call in 2 years when you're ready. It's like that, right? It's for you. It's easy, right? Because you come from that angle, and the
Mm.
interesting thing is that we can come from all these different angles as long as we
Yeah.
have the perception and the perspective to look at it from different lenses.
Right. Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. And honestly, I also don't consider myself a programmer, although I do have some background.
Yeah.
I don't identify as a programmer, and it's
Mm.
very hard for me to write code. So all I'm doing right now is just using kind of the basic concepts that I have in the
Yeah.
back of my head. And I'm just having a good conversation with Claude, mostly
Yeah.
Claude. I mean, I'm also using Gemini a little bit of
Hmm.
ChatGPT, but mostly Claude. I think
Yeah.
Danny, for you as well, right? You're into Claude big time, right? That's
Yeah, I'm a
mostly your,
fanboy. It's like
yeah,
like it's the Apple and it's the Apple Microsoft thing, but now the
yes,
modern day version,
the
we're being
modern
it
day version.
is like
Yeah,
you either use OpenAI or you're a
yeah,
Claude. It's that kind of
true.
vibe. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I guess we can get into some fundamentals and maybe show
yeah,
people what is possible.
yes,
With what we're trying to achieve, and then if they were to start exploring in this direction, where would they need to start? Because that's the
yeah,
main thing, right? You can listen to people talking about what they've built and say yay, wow, great, all that stuff, but at the end of the day, you want to be able to do that yourself. You want to be able to replicate it yourself,
yeah,
or you go and buy, right? It's the build versus buy decision. And both in the case of Danny and myself, like we're more like builders. We want to try things on our own,
yeah.
even though there's
Break
like
things.
off the shelf, yeah, things that
Yeah,
make sense for us to customize, to the last detail, because we want it that way. We want a certain outcome, and that's how we go about it.
yeah,
So yeah, I think what we can do is start with some very basic things, like
mm-hmm,
what does an Amazon page load even look like? Like
mm-hmm,
if we were to just diagnose or just kind of dissect what the page looks like.
mm-hmm.
I mean, I can show my screen
Yeah. Do
here
you want to bring the
and
screen
talk through
up and
that.
then we'll go through
Yeah,
the
okay,
yeah,
sounds good, sounds good. Okay, so share my screen, entire screen, and then let's see. Think something like that. Okay, so let's see. Let me just get into a page. Like it doesn't matter what page. Let's get into this veggies, right? It's any page. And gosh, I don't know why I went into veggies, but anyway, so this is a page, right? Bell peppers, whatever. Now, if you look at what's visible on this page, a lot of the stuff is loaded like right away. So as soon as you uh, load this page, things are showing. Like there's ads showing, there's videos showing, there's A plus content. Everything is showing on this page because it was constructed somewhere else. Like it was constructed at the server side, and now it's been brought forward to your browser and is being displayed, right? And you can always right click on your browser anywhere and look at the page source like that, and then you'll see this gobbledygook stuff, which basically describes how the page is constructed, right? That's basically what you see when you say view source. However, there is something called uh, the DOM, or the document object modifier. I think that's the extension of it. But if you click on inspect instead of view source, now you'll see a bunch of interactive elements here where you can actually see what each of these little pieces actually corresponds to. So if you were to look at just the about this item section and I click on that, it'll take me directly to that piece of code where that thing is built. So the reason why I'm explaining this is because what we want to do is extract stuff from here, and what scrapers basically do is they are looking at what this DOM contains at this point. It'll read the DOM and it'll extract stuff from it and give it to you, right? So basically that's kind of the background of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to scrape something from this page, and that something is sitting in some frame inside some other frame inside some other frame inside some other frame, because the entire page is essentially a bunch of frames and containers that are kind of, they have boundaries, like this is the image section, this is the title section, and so on, and then within that you have subsections and so on. So if you just imagine your page as a bunch of frames inside frames inside frames, and if you want to get to that one particular frame that you want to extract stuff out of, you want to be able to define or extract that information and give it to an AI like Claude and say, hey, this part has this information. Can you extract it out in an easy to use format? Or can you find all the, like, for example, if you want to find all the reviews on this page and you want to extract all the reviews on this page. So if you want to see what are the top reviews showing right now, for example, and let's say you want to do this regularly because the order in which your reviews show up might influence the conversion rate of a page, right? There's so many signals, but whatever is showing right at the top will influence the decision-making process the most. So maybe you want to do that. Or you want to do something else, like you want to see if this product is available or whether it's in stock or not. And there's so much stuff here. Now, there's a lot of tools out there that give you, a lot of the packaged information that we generally look for. Like, for example, what's the let's say how many reviews this product has, or what's the rating and stuff like that. So that information, like if you go to like Helium 10 or one of those scrapers, they will give you that information without you having to do fancy stuff. But let's say you wanted something more fancy. So basically that's what we're talking about today, how to extract stuff from this page that you guys are so into, like you're so familiar with. Danny, anything to add there before we go to the next?
Sorry, I had the sound off. Yeah, so there is a lot of information on the page, and there's also different approaches, right? So what we're talking about here, yes, you can use browser automation, right? Great. But you're going to burn a lot of tokens unless you've got it under control and it's efficient, right? I made the skills for that, and I'll share that with people. But there's still problems with it. You've also got dynamic HTML. So whilst looking for information that you want to take, you've got to remember that some of these, say a PDP's probably got 30,000. And when people normally scrape a PDP, they're not thinking about all the other products on the page either. And the confusion between different asins, unless you've got it structured right, or Claude is structured it right. So you still have to do a lot of checking there. And believe it or not, even though it's manual, we're not actually scraping, we're copying. Browser automations against terms of service for Amazon, right? Using crawlers is against terms of service. But if you look at it, is that Amazon basically, they set a tone for, you can't scrape. But then software companies won't be able to do ranking results. So there's a fair usage kind of thing. And I suppose they have to because they literally scrape the whole of the web. How do you think you lose the buy box and they found out that someone
Yep.
on, I don't know, someone somewhere is bought us your product and then sold it on eBay, that gets flagged. I mean, if
Mhm.
you look at the original Alexa site, it was literally capturing information from the web, right?
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah.
all powered by AWS as well. So
Right.
the thing about it is, it's sometimes when you go, yeah, don't worry, we're running 8N and we'll run this crawler, we use Firecrawl, and then we're going to use this, we use Fetch, and then the Fetch, we'll gather a little bit of information there, and then we're going to use Playwright or Puppeteer and stuff. But sometimes it's just easier to cut and paste because then
Right.
also you can spend more time off-site interrogating the data and getting Claude or whatever tool that you're using to break this down and question it, because Claude will gaslight you, especially with 30,000 lines of code or characters or whatever it is. So you have to keep asking the same questions over. It's like having Alzheimer, right? And you go, well, you
Mhm.
didn't have Alzheimer on the last one, Claude. Let's have a little look at this one. So
Right.
having the option to get Claude to build scripts as well, because you want stuff to be deterministic.
Mhm.
And often with AI, it's based around probabilistic, which means probable, which doesn't
Mm.
mean it's going to be precise each and every time. So there is some to in and fro in. But like what you said, you've built a Chrome extension. I've
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
got for some of the stuff that I'm doing just for speed. I've just fed Claude now while you was doing that demo. I needed
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get some asins over, but the
Okay, cool.
I just click a button and it just downloads as a text file and it's dropped into the directory and
Mhm.
Claude takes over. It's that
Mhm.
simple. And I have gone down that route because if you think about it, unless you're doing it at mass scale or you're selling software, what we're doing, we're experimenting, right? We're trying to diagnose problems individually, and sometimes the simple, boring route can actually be the most efficient way of doing it, because like with any automation or anything you're setting up, you could spend 6 hours setting up something that takes you 30 seconds to cut and paste. So you always have to
Right.
bring that into the equation as well.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Cool. So yeah, I think what we can do is we can now look at one of the approaches. Actually, there's two
Mm.
approaches that we lightly chatted about yesterday. So the first one is using something called a bookmarklet.
Hmm.
And what is a bookmarklet? So let's explain that first. So the bookmarklet is a bookmark that actually acts as a code. So you know how when you want to save something on your browser, you
Hmm.
actually right click on the browser button and say add a page, so that every time you want to go to that page, you can simply uh, find it in your browser and go straight to it, right? So that's basically what a bookmark is. Now, what we don't know normally is that this thing that says URL, it can actually be used to run code. So you can add some JavaScript code, which is basically the language of the browser. And that JavaScript code will execute every time you click on the bookmarklet. So it's almost like a button that does something on that page, right? So it just reads that page, does things that you have described in here. And it's not a URL, but it's just code, right? So the best thing is that Claude or any of the other LLMs out there can actually write JavaScript code and can read what I was explaining earlier, the DOM, the document object model. It can read what's inside there and it can pick up stuff that it needs and it can show it to you. So that's kind of the concept. So you can name your bookmark whatever you like a test or whatever, and just plant your JavaScript code in here and save it, and then it's ready for you to use over and over again. So I guess I might just show you one bookmarklet that does one particular thing. I have bookmarklets for Rufus and all that stuff that
Mm,
extract Rufus Q&A from the DOM and so on.
yeah.
I'll show you one that is pretty cool, which is the autocomplete uh, bookmarklet. So what this bookmarklet does is you can add any keywords. Actually, this is best run from the main Amazon.com. So let me just go to all departments and just look for, yeah, there we go. So now I can just type bookmarklets with input. So let's say if I want a comma separated list of words, I can say Bluetooth, uh, Bluetooth, and then headphones, headphones, smartphone. Let's just say those are the three words I want to find out what Amazon does in the autocomplete, right? So now I'm going to say okay. So what it's going to do is I'm hands-free right now, but what it's doing, it's simulating some clicks. It's almost like I am typing in this browser those three words that I entered. And in this right side, it's popped up all the autocomplete words that Amazon displayed here when those words were typed in. Now, this is a fairly useful list for me if I want to see, what does Amazon populate when something is typed in? Like if I have like a high volume keyword, does it actually go there or does it just, show me something totally different? So what I did here was a hands-free operation. It's basically simulating a click on the page, and then whatever results are populated in the DOM, it's copying that and putting it in this little pop-up over here that I can say copy to clipboard and it's done, right? So that's a very simple bookmarklet that was written by Claude based on my instructions. And I can right click here and show you what the JavaScript looks like. You don't even have to know it. It's JavaScript colon blah, 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 blah. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It's something that is gobbledygook for most of us. It's okay. And Claude can do a great job with it.
Yeah.
So I'll take a pause here and maybe let Danny share his bookmarklet or something that is similar
Well,
that he did. Yeah.
yeah, I was just trying to think what I can pull up. I was going to pull something up that it gives an additional layer to this. Let me see what I can quickly
Yeah.
find here. It's working in the background, and I don't want to expose, other
Oh,
Amazon
yeah.
sellers' information. Um,
Sure.
let me just. Do you want to discuss the Chrome thing while I pull this
Yeah.
up? Would that be okay as well?
Absolutely. That
Yeah.
is so cool. That's so okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let me just go back to my page here. And so there's another, evolution of this, this browser interaction. I wouldn't call it an agent, honestly, because an agent is, someone that just goes on your browser and acts on your behalf. Here, you're still needing to interact with it. You still need to go and like press a button, right? You need to press a button. You need to be in the right place and so on. So this is just an automation that was created with AI, right? So here's another version of what I just did with a bookmarklet. I want to actually do stuff that spans multiple pages. And I couldn't do that with a bookmarklet, right? A bookmarklet just sits on that page. You can be on that page, you can keep interacting, you can simulate all kinds of typing and clicking, etc. on that page. But then as soon as you ask it to do something across different ASINs or across multiple pages, and that's where the scale is, honestly, where you want to do the same thing but for a different page. Now you do the same scraping for a different page and a different page, and let's say you want to give it 5,000 ASINs all at once. Now that would crash your browser, but like if you have some decent sizes, like I don't know, 100, 200 ASINs at a time, batch it up and then run it through this process, well, then you're hands-free and you can keep doing whatever else you want on the side, right? And so for that reason, I had to kind of evolve my thinking and say, okay, bookmarklet is not going to work. And I'm not prepared to write any fancy kind of Python code or anything like that that simulates a bot. Like, I don't want to get into that. I just wanted something very simple, quick, and dirty. So I came up with a Chrome plugin. So just to explain to everyone what is a Chrome plugin, it is a little piece of code that sits on your browser, on your Chrome browser, and no matter where you navigate, it can see all your pages. It can do stuff across your different pages, right? So that's basically what a Chrome extension or Chrome plugin is. Now, all of us have some sort of plugin here. Like I have the Helium 10 plugin showing up here. Someone might have something, Data Dive. There's so many different plugins that can be used to watch the page or interact with it and stuff like that. So what I wanted to do, my specific use case was I wanted to see whether a product is going to arrive before Halloween or after Halloween. So I have two products here opened up. So the first one is this skeleton thing. This says it's going to arrive on Sunday, November 2nd, which is after Halloween.
Yeah.
And this one here, it says, this one also now says arrives after Halloween. So I guess, oh yeah, here it says arrives one day before Halloween, right? So for Prime members, this will arrive on time, whereas this one won't. It will not, right? So I want to be able to detect very quickly if I give it a list and give it a date and say, will it arrive before this date or after this date? Because I don't want to spend money on pushing a product with PPC where the product isn't going to make it, and so that might just waste my click, right? They're going to see it and then they'll be like, oh, I don't want it, right? Okay, so I will show you what my plugin looks like. So I have my plugin here, okay, and what it does is let me just get rid of this. And what it does it gives you a space where you can enter a bunch of ASINs, right? And then it'll start checking it, right? So I have two ASINs, those two that I just showed you, I have it copied here. So let me just paste it in here and then say start auto check, okay? So now it's running it. And I can navigate to any other page. Now I don't have to be stuck on that page. I'm free. I can go to another page. It's all good. So it's checking. It's checked the first one pretty quick. And it didn't even show me the page because it's doing it in the background. It's opened it up on its side. Okay, so now it's given me the results. It said this first ASIN, it says arrives before Halloween, yes. And the second one, it says after. So if that's the case, I don't want to spend money on this, right? I can copy that result out and I can just paste it in some other place and um, I can take action on it, right? So that's how this Chrome plugin was created and it was uploaded here. And let me show you where a Chrome plugin can be um, added. So you go into Chrome extensions and this is my Chrome plugin right here. What it's gonna do is Claude will make the Chrome plugin for me. I don't make it. Claude does it. I don't have to do it. So what you need to do is you want to load unpacked, which basically means you load up your extension from Claude Code, which Claude will give you a zip file, and then you just upload or point to that zip file here, and it gets added, activated, right? And then you can just start using it. It's that simple. The only thing you need to make sure is that you are in developer mode, because that's the only mode in which you can actually upload Chrome extensions. So basically that's it. It took me very little time, like less than 30 minutes for the whole thing, designing it and setting up the Chrome plugin. And I needed it for a specific use case, and I was able to do it very, very quickly for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Cool.
So
Right.
I'm going to
What I'll
stop
do
sharing my screen.
then is, I'll just take any product for this. So what Ritu was explaining there, I'm going to bring up a couple of things. Let me just bring that up over here, and that's off screen because because I think what's quite important with this is what what is possible, what can be
Mm.
captured. Because obviously people go, oh, I want to find the GL and stuff like that. But there is more to it than that, right? So let me just get rid of that. Go back to that one. Just want to see if I've got the taxonomy list. First, let me share the screen and I'll find that in a minute. So, like Ritu said, it's pretty straightforward to get Claude to generate a bit of code. This product here, extract from Amazon, right? So as I hover over it, you can see JavaScript. If I go into edit, instead of having the URL there, you've got the JavaScript. And that takes a few minutes to build. And this is what I mean by coming from things from different angles. As I said earlier on, is you can scrape and you can set up your firecrawl to be specific. But what if you do not know how to code and what's there? So then that requires more thinking about what you want to extract. And all I have to do is it then creates the file for me. It's done. Okay. Now, one of the other important things to think about as well, you've got two ways to go in. You've got view page source, and then you've got the inspector. Now, with the inspector, if you on the inspector, you want to grab the outer HTML because that's going to give you more data and less problems to deal with it. Now, this here, I showed this on the show a couple of weeks ago. I built this for the main image monthly. It's now called the Conversion Monthly Show. Now, when you look at this, this is all pulled from the PDP. Now, the PDP is a leaky bucket. Now, a lot of people will take the source code, they'll go and take the category from department down to the final browse node, and they'll get the GL and they get a couple of other bits. But then you're missing a trick. There is actually, and I won't share them all because I haven't got time, 680 data points that I found, and I'm not a programmer, that can then be put together. Okay. So there's a lot more in there, and if you are using something like browse automation, and then you are using something like a scraper or firecrawl or whatever you want to use, you're going to burn up a lot of cache for one. Two, you're not knowing what you're scraping and what you're storing. So being able to work offline with the data is actually better because you can spend more time with it. Now, you won't find anything pertaining to Amazon's algorithms in here, in the page source. That's not where you're going to find it. That's where you have to join the dots to understand. But what you will find in there is a lot of tracking information. And when you reverse engineer the tracking information, i.e. everything from page loads, and I can join dots back to, I won't share actually too many things, but I can draw lots of comparisons, then draw the parallels and then lock them in together, right? But there is a wealth of information here. If you think about it, we all talk about click-through rate. So important. We all talk about images. What happens if you've got a really good click-through rate and you spend a lot of money on PPC, but your conversion rate's low? Right?
Yeah.
A few things can happen. What could happen is that you have threats on your page. Amazon's a leaky bucket, right? It's the house wins every time. You go and burn a load of cash on PPC, you've got good click-through rate, people are eating with their eyes, they get there, and then there's all these other products feeding off you. Now, obviously, this is also dynamic as well. So these are simple instances, but it's another way to look and diagnose, because if you are focused on optimization and try and look at it from a problem solving rather than I'm an Amazon optimizer rather than a conversion optimizer, you'll be able to think more out the box about looking to resolve problems, right? So most things when it comes to conversion is thinking outside of the box to solve the problem. And I'll guarantee you will never always solve the problem. But what you will get is an understanding of threats. We understand defense campaigns. That's
Mm.
fantastic, right? But you could get to the stage where you go, okay, there is a problem with my listing. I need to change the title, images, spend a few grand on A plus content, changing all of that, outsourcing all that, only to find it's nothing to do with those things, right?
Mm. Mm.
So if you are going to look at things like what's beautiful about what we do, what we all do, and be able to experiment in this age, like my Rufus Intelligence, which is it's not on this one, but I've got a Rufus Intelligence where I built a agent for it. Okay, but what the agent does is instead of looking at reviews, the agent is based upon why would the customer not buy the product, not reviews, which is post purchase. A lot of people still don't get clarity on this. So if someone buys your
Mm.
product and they love it, great. If they buy your product and they say it's shit, they still bought your product. Yeah.
Mhm.
What you're trying to
Yeah.
diagnose is what the objections to buying the product.
Mm.
So the way I built my Rufus agent, like you've obviously did it a different way, Ritu.
Mm.
It's all
Mhm.
valid, right? So we come from different angles. My way was
Right.
to build an agent and then have it frame and ask Rufus questions pertaining to problems that people would be put off with buying the product. Yeah.
Mm.
And then from
Yeah.
being able to do that, I'll have to pull up the other one. There's a newer version. One second. Let me see if I've got it. What is this? This is all right. Yeah. There is one in here because what I did was
Mhm.
you want to be able to take that information and turn it into something. So what I did was take the information that was brought back using the agent, which is combining in browser automation as well. But because it's framed, you're not trying to send it to a page and do 1,000 actions without any control over it. When you're building
Mm.
like an agent, which is just a markdown file, right? It's nothing clever about it. And as long as you've got some MCPs plugged in, you'll be able to frame what the workload is. Therefore, you've got less chance of having problems with, exceeding too many tokens and stuff because you've put some parameters in place to control it. I'm just going to try and find where this is. So this under intelligence, analyze a report. One second, because I'll be able to show you that then. You can tell this is live, can't you? We're just going on there.
Yeah.
PDP analyzer. Let's have a look at this one. Here we go. I think that's the one. Let's boot this into version 6. That would be the latest one. Okay, there we go. Here we go. Rufus Intelligence. So by the framing of looking at resolving the problems, we pulled up 4 critical issues here. Plus, you've got to look at hidden barriers, right? The
Mm.
unspoken, yeah?
Yeah.
And then you've got
Mm.
trust gaps. So in this is a product that we covered on the last show with the main image
Mhm.
guys. Dry
Mhm.
eraser marker quality issues, right? And then it comes here, it breaks down for some reasoning to recommend some fixes. So you haven't got to think too hard about it. It gives you some, like what I like to call like a scent. It's a trail, right? You like there's a trail and a scent to conversion. When you've got an ad scent, when you match the ad to the landing page for congruency, yeah? It's the same thing you can reverse engineer when you're looking to solve problems. So the hidden barriers here: perceived value mismatch, stability concerns for active kids, assembly anxiety, then the trust gaps, no real photos. So the product on here, which is another thing we have to think about, which there's nothing wrong with these images, right? Honestly,
Mhm.
nothing wrong with them.
Mm.
But what
Right.
about if you actually want to see real images, not just beautifully constructed images in Photoshop,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Look
Yeah,
at what the
yeah, yeah.
material's made of. Okay.
Right.
This is
Yeah.
like a, not organic, but it's that kind of, it's an easel. Easels go back thousands of years, right? From painters, etc. And there's going to be the artistic part of it. So I know these are for children, but it's the
Mm.
parents that buy these, right? So
Mm.
the chances are we've got to look at the framing of the market that might be outside of your ICP. If you're doing stuff on a creative level, some parents, not all, kind of push their children in that direction. I was good at art when I was at school. Why don't I force it on my children? They don't do it to be bad, not at all, right? But there is that framing, isn't it? It's like we know what's good for our
Yeah.
kids, or we can fall into that. So we have to think about stuff that isn't just purely based on how much can I pack out the pixels and
Mm.
sell stuff to you, right?
Mm.
Because if we think about it, when we look at some of the largest brands, right, we're not screaming, or they're
Mm.
not screaming. Does Apple scream
Mm.
at you to buy their stuff?
Mm.
What does cool brands and stuff tend to do, or more highbrow or high ticketed item costs? It's like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're cool. You're paying, right, to be
Mm.
cool. Now, I know this is an easel and it's a kid's product, and we're kind of going off. The
Mm.
point of what I'm saying in the framing is that these look like great images, but we must remember is that we're not building images purely only for conversion. We've got to actually understand is that when you're building stuff out, let's look about when we stop the scroll, right?
Mm. Mm.
If you go onto Amazon, there's a sea of same in a lot of categories. Not all, but a lot of them. Everyone's attempting to stop the scroll by doing what? The same thing.
Mm.
They're screaming at the customer, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
If they're
Mm.
screaming at the customer, how can you stand out? Because everyone's just getting louder and louder. How would you stop the scroll if
Right.
you are packing all your images and that's all they see?
Mm.
What they're seeing is they're getting a sensory overload. And this isn't a
Mm.
criticism of this, right? It's not a
Mm.
criticism. I'm just trying to get people to think if everyone is screaming and everyone's attempting to stop the scroll and everyone's packing everything into their images, how do you differentiate if everyone's doing the same thing?
Mm.
What separates it? Price.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? So
Mm.
things like this is when you've got when you look at these things, you have to try and think from different angles as well, right? So with what I've done with the Rufus Intelligence is being able to take the information and then prioritize these gaps for the wins, okay? And then how do we do a visual strategy? I.e., how do we take these objections and then build these objections visually? So then you
Mm.
get like 9 ideas, right? So it gives you an idea of how to get over the customer objection. Because what does customers want on Amazon? They want beautifully illustrated images that are like an online user manual in some ways, right? But you've got an ebb and flow that solve their problems. And you need to be able to visually get the problem you're solving over to them. Because that's what we do, right? We make a product to do what? To solve problems if we're trying to differentiate. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So,
And
so
so,
this,
yeah, go
yeah.
on.
So just to ask this question, like Rufus Intelligence, this was it used based on like the scraping of Rufus questions, and then you piped that into another piece of software that then generated this?
Yeah,
Um,
so the steps I
mm,
went through to do it. First things first
yeah.
is
Mm,
either use an agentic browser that actually will work in terms of
okay.
communicating with Rufus. So you
Mm,
frame it. So you can say, like, for instance, on here, we've got I use Claude Chrome here. right? So
Mhm.
Claude Chrome seems to operate okay with handling tasks with Rufus. There'll be other
Right.
browsers out there do the same. But it comes down to
Yeah.
your framing, right? So I'm asking Rufus to come up with 15 questions that as something that is agentic, and both of them are, you've got an AI assistant, right? And then you've got an AI assistant, but it's agentic browser based assistant. And so, and I ask it, can you communicate in a sense that you would know what questions to ask
Mhm.
and probe Rufus and look for the edge cases for your communication, right? Come back and bring me that information. That's step
Mhm.
one. Then step two is defining these questions through the conversation. So you always make sure you're taking a copy of the information that from the questions being asked and then the answers that are coming back. Then you can summarize what are the best questions. And that's from that is where you can decide how you want to do the next step. Do you build an agent and
Mm.
send Playwright to do it? What are your restrictions for it? And that's
Right, right.
how I was able to come to that
Mm.
part of building
Yeah,
this
amazing.
analyzer. Yeah.
Love it, love it. Yeah, this is great. So I guess just to say it, so your method here was yet another way of interacting with the Amazon browser, right? We talked about
Yeah.
bookmarklets, we talked about Chrome plugins. Your
Yeah.
method was agentic, using Claude Chrome, and it
Yeah.
interacted with Rufus, extracting important information, and then you're using another piece of maybe a software or something, or
Yeah.
with human in the loop, you're plugging it in and then you're getting this final product, which is
Yeah.
great because at the end of the day, we want to do something with the data that we've scraped from Amazon, right? Whether it's, you know, stuff
Yeah.
that's sitting on the detail page, or any stuff that's hidden in like interactive elements like Rufus, where you're
Mm-hmm.
getting this agentic browser to interact with it,
Yeah.
generate those questions, generate those answers, and then pull that information out. So that's next level. I guess we've got three levels covered and in this
Yeah,
conversation,
but
which is
the
really
reason I
cool.
mentioned
Yeah.
that is I
Uh,
can say that as a non-programmer because I'm trying to encourage
yes,
people to push
for sure.
the their creativity and their
Yeah, yeah.
boundaries to do
Mhm.
these things, and that
Yeah,
you don't have to be what deemed as like an AI expert or anything. My thing
for
is
sure.
get in there and
Mm.
break it, right?
Yeah,
You can always
yeah.
fix it after. Get some
Mm.
adults in. I've got 3 engineers that babysit me to
Mm.
stop me breaking and bringing the house down. But what comes out of that, I get some interesting stuff. A lot of stuff will end up on the cutting room floor, and I'm good with that, right?
Mm.
But I
Mm.
think if you can be as creative as possible, and then you've got people around you that put guardrails in place, right? You don't have to have
Yeah.
3 engineers. I'm just
Mm.
lucky that's what I do, and I work with engineering team because I've been running, even though it's an agency, I'm running a small technology company and have done for 8 years, right?
Right.
So, and the other thing is, it isn't as expensive as people think
Mm.
to combine those things. If you think what
Mm.
you spend on VAs, which you should pay them properly anyway, and you go, well, I can't afford to have this, but then when you see the output and you mix and match both, you'd be surprised at the level of
Mm.
skill set that you need for stuff like this. It doesn't always mean high skill set. Now,
Mm.
this is something that I'm working on. I won't go into too much now because there's more to come. But this is, you talked about human in the loop. I've been
Mm.
working on this. This is, Leo worked on this version.
Mm.
We've stripped it and rebuilt it 3 times because when we think about human in the loop, design images, videos, and stuff, the one shot thing, when I say one shot, you prompt it and it pops it out. Great. But you can't get there just yet, right?
Mm.
I can,
Mm.
I can eat my words in about 3 weeks' time when someone comes out with it and they've made it magic, right? But as of now,
As of now,
when
yeah.
you're generating at volume, the output, even though it's of a quality, sitting there going through 30 images, 50 videos or whatever, you're going to spend a lot of time, one, spending money, and two, the the quality isn't always going to be great, and you're going to spend a lot of time and you get fatigue. Have you ever sat there and watched 50 video clips in a row to find out, well, which one I actually, is good?
Mm.
Now, what we've developed here is to put guardrails in place. So storyboarding, what resonates with the customer? I know we're about conversion, but what resonates with the customer? People talk about brand story, right? When you're building images and you're looking, they're not just prompts, they're not just left brain, whatever you're designing or the output that you're looking for, we'll also have some right brain stuff, right? So what I've built here with the team is a multi-step storyboard generator that also works in tandem with tying in with the specific outputs, i.e. Sora and VO, to be tailored with the storyboard of the generation so that you're able to have more control and guardrails around it. Yeah. The other thing about this as well, so we've got the storyboard, you've got image generation, you've got video generation, you've got your dashboard, and then you've got your settings where you plug in the API keys. And one thing I know what Amazon sellers love is how to save a bit of money, right? And one of the advantages of this, when I give this away to people eventually, you plug in your API key, and this isn't finished yet, and you'll pay 1/3 of what you would normally pay directly with OpenAI or with Google. And I'm not going to tell you where and why, but I want to put my money where my mouth is and give our community something to work with. We're still working on it now. So about 2 weeks, I'll run the demo of it. But there's a lot of stuff goes on under the hood here, and important roles of how these prompts are developed and tuned with the output of the model, right? Because what you're also going to do is save a lot of issues with issues whereby you just generate in a lot of junk and you're not getting what you want from it. And part of that is going to be image analysis of your reference images as well.
Yeah.
So what this will do is this will start off with generating you a number of storyboard concepts, and if you like them, then it develops the story for them. And then you've got different speeds and rhythms we've been working on the back end, so that, for instance, let's say you do a video and it would normally cost you, I don't know, $1. Now through this system, you're using the same models, but it's 30 cents instead of $1. So what we tried to do is guardrails so that you can come up with good concepts with the help of guardrails in place. Pay less per output, but get a more accurate output of what you wanted to achieve as the end product, thus saving money. And you haven't got to sign up and, spend credits, right? Or, or pay monthly fees. So my goal with this is to get this out to sellers and encourage them to get to that stage of developing good images and video, right? And we know that design is subjective, but I think if people won't listen, show them, give it to them, let them see for themselves, and they can see, because I know there's going to be a load of people making this kind of stuff, right? And they're going to want to do their high ticket in and stuff like that. For me, I want to build something and encourage sellers to use it by reducing their costs extremely low in comparison of where they could pay elsewhere, to help them shift their mindset around concept, the scientific and the design side of optimization, because there are a set of skills that blend. And if you can find the sweet spot, you will be able to create some incredible images and get better results. Because if you think about it, we can put a swing tag and we can put a swing tag and we can put like a call out, right? We can all do that. That's the tactic.
Hmm.
But what does
Yeah.
it look like once you've done it? Does it look like a 6-year-old's done it in paint, or is it done by a good designer? Do you see what I mean?
Right.
And good
Yeah.
design isn't what's the word for it? It's not necessarily cheap. So let me just run
Yeah.
this. We'll just put a quick concept in there. We've got to avoid obviously using kids. We'll use VO. We'll do fast pace, and we can just say here. I'm just going to make this up as we go along. The direction for this video, I want to bring it to life. It's for a video on an Amazon product detail page. We want to get over the value proposition and the multifacet of uses. There are 3 reference images that have been attached, and it shows the accessories that come with this. I'm just making this up the top of my head, because the key thing is to come with a storyboard, right?
Right. Yeah.
So because of the tools where we've built in the background, it will do the analysis of the reverse engineering of the images, which is going to make a difference. In terms of, you've got to think about engineering from beginning to end, from the reference image to the prompt to the story behind how you want to do it. So now that you've got Creative Unleashed Kids Arts and Adventures, Creativity Unfolded, Blue Squid's Learning Journey, right? So in this, he's got 8 parts to the scene because we're using some of the limitations of VO. So we use the 8 seconds, but what we'll try and put into there is variants on those steps, because you've got to think as well with images, with video, is we go back to deterministically and probabilistically, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the variation that you're going to get with the video, the longer the video, the more artifacts and hallucination can take place,
For sure.
right?
True.
So
True.
it's
Yeah.
working
Yeah.
out how do you control all of those metrics in between into the final output, yeah?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I won't go any further with that because we're talking about other stuff today. But for me, I think it's something really important that
Yeah.
conversion, design, you bring them together, cross section. Some of the greatest
Yes.
products, whenever you look at them, is part art, part science, and it's really just trying to find the connection between the two.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm so impressed, Danny. All the new stuff. Every time I have a conversation with you, it's like, whoa, Danny's like already racing ahead, 100 steps ahead.
Yeah, but it's
That's really cool.
inspired by people like
Yeah.
you, like Joe,
Oh,
and other
that's so sweet.
people
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Dorian. I think
Yeah.
people are building all this stuff, and we're in a
Yes.
place that's never been seen. And
Hmm.
we've probably got 18 months before things start to settle down, because everything gets disruptive, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And what we've seen with AI is not months, years, it's days and weeks.
For sure. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's thousands of tools out there, and there's going to be a big graveyard of tools.
Yeah. Yes.
Do
Yes.
you
I
see what I
totally
mean?
agree.
If you
Oh,
look at
yeah.
what's
Totally.
out there, and really there's a churn now. These tools that they don't have a shelf life, but that doesn't
Yeah.
mean your helium 10s, your data dives, and that are impacted, because they are grown up companies. These are functioning with engineers, and there's a lot
True.
more involved in what's there than what you and I are doing. For us, these are snacks, app snacks, right? So you go,
App
well, I
snacks.
need
Yeah.
one of those. Let's quickly build that, and it's an in-house thing. And I
For
think with
sure.
AI, it's not
Yeah.
about switching to AI. Use the AI to fix the broken bits of your business that makes it fly. Create the flywheel from all of these little scripts, and everything that you're building to value your business rather than sell the picks and shovels. Because
Right.
I think
Right.
the
Right.
AI
Yeah.
automation thing, depending on what people are doing, is going to be the new Amazon FBA of 2015. It's going to be that new
Yeah.
trend. Yeah.
For
And I
sure.
think the
Yeah.
market
Yeah.
will be flooded,
Yeah.
but there's so
Yeah.
much you can do for yourself,
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Amazing.
round up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think just to summarize what we talked about a lot, but basically we spoke about how we can use in-house kind of DIY style scrapers with
Yep.
bookmarklets is one topic we covered. Chrome plugins is another, and then agentic, browser-based
Mm.
AI that kind of reaches into Amazon pages. And then, Danny actually showed a real-life example of how he's using it as an input to build
Mm.
something bigger, which he's going to reveal in a couple of
Yep.
weeks, and it's exciting stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, hopefully everybody's inspired to kind of try these things out yourself with the help of AI, of course.
Yep.
And it's getting more and more within reach. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, look, you've got a hard stop. You're a busy woman. So I'm going to let you go. Best way that people can reach you.
Yeah, LinkedIn is the best way. I'm active there. So yeah, reach out to me, Ritu Java full name. And yeah, I'll be happy to chat with you and discuss more.
Excellent, guys. Thank you again for joining us. I'll be back here again next week. Take care of yourself and your family. Much love. And we'll see you again soon.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.